Okay, well, hopefully everyone is seeing our first slide, Conversations in a Cornfield. And welcome. As Maria said, I would also like to welcome you. I'm Laurie Walensky, and I work with Maria Papitas and Jake Jacobs on this particular project. This program was developed and funded by the Northeast Farm and Ranch Assistance Network. It's also called Cultivemos. This is a list of our names and email contact information. Reach out to any one of us to get more information. So the objective for today and for this particular lesson is to understand how humor can help manage stress. Also to learn the importance of communication as a tool to help manage stress and isolation, and also to have a little fun. This is an example of humor where incongruity theory is illustrated. Incongruity theory is in humor is when humor elicits laughter that emphasizes the juxtaposition of incompatible or contradictory elements. Oftentimes, humor brings us sort of into the present. It helps us to relax and enjoy the communal nature of people enjoying something together. How did you feel when you looked at this? Did your body get a little bit lighter? Maybe relax a little bit? So life has many stressors, and oftentimes we have a plan. Notice the top illustration. But what happens in reality does not always go as planned. See the bottom illustration where the dips and the dives are there. When life doesn't play out the way we wanted or expected, stress can occur. Over time, stressors can accumulate and make managing more physically and emotionally draining. It's called cumulative stress when this happens. And over time, too much cumulative stress can lead to burnout. So we want to talk about managing stressors and why it's important, and that we all have strengths and tools to manage and to be resilient. So we're going to talk about a few of those tools today. As humans, we have a spectrum of mental health in much the same way we experience physical health. We have all experienced a day when we had a stuffy head, cough, or muscle aches. Sometimes we work through it, while other times we take medication or seek help. Our role is supporting others to ensure when someone is struggling with mental health that they connect with supportive resources in the community. There's a Psychology Today article written by Sherry Benton, and what she says, when we are languishing in a bad job, a bad relationship, or struggling with some other aspect of life, our mental health suffers. We may be quite miserable, but that doesn't mean we have mental illness. We might be said to have low mental health, but we may have very low or no level of mental illness. On the other hand, someone may have a chronic mental illness such as OCD or bipolar disorder, but maintains well with treatment and has a satisfying relationship, a job they like, and a good social support. This person is said to have a higher level of mental illness, but also a very high level of mental health. As a society, we need to acknowledge that mental health is a spectrum and that someone doesn't need to be in crisis to need help or support. We're not John Wayne, and it is okay to ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of our humanity. To help destigmatize mental well-being, we can all play a role in creating a supportive environment and practice communicating more effectively about our mental well-being. One way of doing this is through humor. Cooperative Extension personnel wanted a new way to elevate the importance of mental well-being. A Northeast regional group of Extension personnel came up with the idea of exploring humor and improvisation communication skills as a way to elevate the importance of mental well-being. Through a mini grant from the Northeast Farm and Ranch Stress Assistance Network, they developed some videos and programs. And this session is just one of those programs, but we needed to acknowledge their partnership. So this is a slide, very colorful slide that talks about different areas of our brain. And I'm not going to read everything on the screen. I'll let you look at that. Humor is a great stress reliever, and there are several physical reactions that help the brain and the body when people laugh or are enjoying themselves. Remember back in that second slide about going wireless? Again, I'm going to ask you, to think about how your body felt. Did it relax? Were you sort of in the moment? Did you smile or laugh? Experts recommend humor to release endorphins, trigger health responses, increase relaxation, and alter the brain chemicals in a way that makes you feel like you're a winner. Laughing and humor impacts different parts of the brain at the same time. Again, laughter and humor helps release endorphins. Laughter stimulates the immune system and connects the mind and the body. Laughter increases relaxation by adding oxygen to the brain. And laughter alters brain chemicals that will help to reduce stress and lift emotions. And that improves our sense of well-being. We don't have to be comedians to laugh more. We just need to seek out what makes us laugh and feel good. Managing life stressors using humor and improv communication skills. One way to manage life stressors is to use communication techniques that create safe, validating environments. Within the world of humor, improvisation is a tool that can help evoke human responses. You might think of the TV show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Or other comedic TV shows where interactions among the players is spontaneous, accepting, validating, and oftentimes funny. The technique is to use yes and to accept whatever is said. That is the yes part, and then add to the suggestion by saying and, to which information is added that builds upon the previous speaker's suggestion. This technique works when topics of conversation aren't funny, but allows for creating a safe environment, building trust and boundaries, allowing for autonomy and choice by the players, creating collaborative relationships and full participation, and lastly, building resilience between and among participants. This communication tool feels very different to participants from yes, but, where people are listening, but then responding with a negative or contrary response. Incorporating yes and into your toolkit does take practice. And I encourage you to practice saying or thinking yes as you interact with others. Jake and Maria are going to demonstrate an example of a negative feedback example. So,
well, Maria, we've been asked to help plan the next meeting that we're going to have with our office staff. And they said that you and I could work together on developing a plan. And my first thought was, maybe we should have it outside of the office building someplace.
I'm not sure about that, Jake. It's so much easier when people just come to the office. So no, I don't think that's a good idea. I think we should just have it at the office.
Yeah, but we're kind of sick of being there. And let's face it, the conference room is not really a good space for getting people to engage socially.
Yes, but it's so easy and parking is easy and, we could always have it catered.
Yeah, but that would be pretty expensive. I don't know if we would have the budget to do what you and I might come up with.
Well, what do you think we ought to do in terms of what the next meeting agenda should be?
Do you think we should have a formal agenda?
No, that's so boring. And, if we try and do everything like the way it always is, people aren't going to want to come.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask for folks to unmute and talk about this just a little bit. What do you think? How do you think Jake felt when Maria responded the way she did? Did it feel like she was creating a collaborative relationship? Did it
You
feel?
can
Go ahead.
you can pop your thoughts into the chat. We have one comment right away: unseen and unheard. And boy, isn't
Okay.
that the truth?
Yes. Thank you.
Someone
A
else shared like her ideas weren't valid.
and a definite no.
I think that was connected to the creating a safe environment, right? No, it was not creating a safe
Right.
environment.
Right.
And did you all notice that even though it started with yes, it's that but that shuts it down?
Right. So, okay. Thank you, Jake and Maria. So within your family and farm enterprise, using yes and communication strategies can be beneficial in many ways. Aside from potentially providing an environment for laughter, studies show us that using this technique can build trust, foster teamwork, and better brainstorming, improve communication skills, and promote creative problem solving. Additionally, because the trust is in place among the team, you can respond more quickly and decisively, manage change more effectively, and enhance a supportive environment. Think of how wonderful your family and farm enterprise could be if all of this was in place. So there's a improv communication cycle using yes and improv means there is no script. It includes support by supporting one another, no harm by being disrespectful, allows ourselves to receive support, creates a trust and safe place to share, acknowledges and manages the unknown, ambiguous and uncertain. We can learn to manage stress in the moment, embrace its imperfection, follow your fears and explore together, and let go of control. The yes and cycle mirrors the process of everyday interpersonal interactions. We make spontaneous statements and anticipate that others will notice and acknowledge what we say, adding to it in a way that builds reciprocal, cohesive discussion. By practicing yes and, you can enhance your ability to improvise with others, a skill that is directly transferable to communication and social skills, better family relations, and improved work environments. Yes and is also a tool that aligns with the appreciative inquiry process and change model that encourages people and organizations to ask questions that help to focus on positive aspects that exist and to explore the strengths they already have and can build on. Yes and is a great way to share ideas and explore new ways of thinking about hard topics. All right, there's a lot of words on this slide. This is about appreciative inquiry. And It has a theoretical framework in positive psychology and positive organizational scholarship. It was first developed in 1987 and has since been employed and tested by scholars and practitioners around the world to assist with individual and organizational growth. It's an asset-based approach to organizational and social engagement that utilizes questions and dialogue to help participants uncover existing strengths, advantages, or opportunities in their communities, organizations, teams, or families. There are three concepts: appreciation, inquiry, and wholeness. To appreciate is to recognize the best in people, families, and organizations, and even the world around us. Appreciative inquiry draws on the strengths of individuals and the systems in which they live. They become the foundation on which the future can be built. Inquiry is to ask questions. And if you look to the right of the slide, there are the 5D cycle. Invites participants to ask questions so they can learn from one another and together identify a shared vision of the future. Participating in an appreciative inquiry process requires an attitude of curiosity and hunger or discovery. The final AI tenet is wholeness, and that encourages participation from all levels of an organization, knowing that the best ideas often emerge from unexpected places. Additionally, appreciative inquiry encourages seeking outside perspectives. It's a whole system approach. The 5D cycle: definition, discovery, dream, design, destiny, or stages help to move individuals through a discovery process. Using yes and communication technique in combination with appreciative inquiry encourages dialogue, open communication, brainstorming, and solution building. Successful improv communication and appreciative inquiry, I'm just going to say AI from now on, creates a safe environments for communications, considers time and place, and set up ground rules for all to follow. It helps build trust and boundaries. It allows for autonomy and choice by members, creates collaborative relationships, and allows for full appreciation. As a farm business owner, you can't do it all, no matter who your employees are, family or farm workers. It's important to create an environment where communication is strong, especially for improv types of communication. You want to be sure these foundations are in place, or work toward them by communicating that you'd like a workplace that has these attributes. So creating a safe environment, again, building trust, allowing for autonomy, full participation in collaborative relationships. We've learned about the yes and tool. Now let's learn about another tool to improve listening. This tool is labeled "Thank You Because." The idea is to thank the person sharing their idea and to validate and acknowledge the importance of these ideas by sharing why it's valuable or what is valuable about the idea. An example might be, "Thank you for sharing that you have had difficulty talking with family farm members about succession planning. I know that can be hard. It is helpful for me to know that you have had a rough time with that." So that's acknowledging that someone was having trouble talking about succession planning. And you can follow that up with a yes and response. But you don't always have to say yes and. One example might be, it can be very difficult, especially when there are many different views. Here's the and part. Tell me how you've tried to have these conversations. So you're encouraging the person to continue to talk to you about it. This tool can be useful when the information or the offer or the person shared incorrect or inappropriate. By thanking them for their offer, you validate them, you maintain a safe space for communication, and you can move forward in a different direction if need be. Here's another example. So if a farmer is saying, it's just so hard to get my family to agree on anything. I'm just not going to have a will or do estate planning. Then the educator might say, well, thank you for sharing your frustration, because now I understand that it's difficult for you to come to some consensus among family members about these matters. Sometimes just getting everyone in the same room can be heard. Have you considered bringing family members together in the winter after holidays and during a slower time frame? The operation. So I didn't point out which was the yes part and which was the and part. I'm going to read it again. The yes part. Sometimes just getting everyone in the same room can be hard. So you're affirming them, then you're adding a suggestion. Have you considered bringing family members together in the winter? So this is just a simple example how you can use yes and thank you because in your work. So we're going to ask you to practice. You're going to be put into breakout rooms, and Maria is going to do that for us. And you're going to use the yes and communication technique to brainstorm where, what, and how of the next ag meeting. I want you to take turns sharing ideas, building on each other's offers by accepting and adding to them. You'll have 4 to 5 minutes to do this. I think we agreed on 4. So Maria is going to put you into rooms of how many per room, Maria? 4
Like
people?
3 to 4 people.
3 to 4 people per room. And you'll have about 4 minutes. The activity rules are on the right side of the screen. Support one another. Do no harm by being respectful. Allow yourselves to receive support. Create trust and safe places to share and have fun. So stand by for a breakout room.
Okay, here we go. Okay, I think we're back.
All right. Welcome back. Oh, you can either unmute or again, type in the chat. But we wanted to know a little bit about what your ag meeting looked like. Was it easy to brainstorm and have fun, knowing your ideas would be fully accepted? And then think a little bit about how you could use this communication technique in your interactions with coworkers, clientele, and family and friends. But also importantly, we wanted, what benefit do you see in using this technique on the farm? Again, you're welcome to unmute and share with us or type in the chat.
I think it's definitely a way to build rapport and trust. It may feel sort of clunky initially because we're all used to saying but instead of and. But it does help to say, I just did it. And it does help to establish rapport and trust among the people who are talking.
Yes. And we also identified that we say, but very unconsciously. It's sort of a habit. And so that's why it takes practice.
I like that I'm Yvonne Green, and I really like the idea of not placing a spotlight on someone that whose idea you may not totally agree with or goes against the grain, and have that idea rejected, and then it's like a spotlight on you when it is rejected. But the yes and I like that idea of acknowledging and then moving forward with whatever idea that may be indifferent to the original speaker. It's more positive, it's more moving, and it doesn't give that, like you say, negative put down feeling to the person who may have come up, that says the but part. But I like that. I like to be able to develop that more.
Great, great. Thank you.
So Adriana in the chat, she shared that their group had a lot of fun planning the meeting and had a positive outlook. And it was easy to plan that way.
Great.
I have found that I have tried to practice this with my family. When I first started out, I'd say, and, yes, and, or whatever. And now I don't really have to. I can just say, and, right? Or, just sort of, I don't have to use the script, so to speak, and it's become more comfortable. And so I encourage you to do that, to just practice on people that, like you have, as Violet said, have rapport with, but, because then it'll become easier to reframe the way you think about and plan your conversations. I find it really wonderful because you're really present, right? You're really in the moment and you're listening and you're thinking, but you're not trying to necessarily solve it and be the problem solver. And I think many of us have that role, right?
So we have two hands raised. Crystal has her hand raised.
Hi, sorry.
Hi.
I missed last week's session, and so I'm trying to listen when I can for this one. So I apologize for not participating more. I just wanted to mention about the yes and. It's something we learned in TPT, dialectical behavior therapy, and it really does validate the other person's feeling. Like if your kid says, "I don't want to go to school today," instead of saying, "But you have to," when you say "and," it's like two truths. Yes, I hear you don't want to go to school, and you still need to go. So it validates their feelings. So it's not just like not feeling rejected by like sharing about it, an idea that others don't like. It's you feel more seen because you're listened to. It's not just the negative, it also builds the positive. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes.
That was a good example for kids trying to get out of going to school. Okay,
For family use.
yes. Now, Danielle, you also had your hand raised.
Yes. So I think in our group it was very positive. Now I'm afraid to use but. But the one time that I had to decline someone's idea, I explained the reason and was a really was a good reason to turn down. Someone wanted to bring a band to a meeting where I was trying to build community and get volunteers to build community at our town. So if a band, like I wanted people to get to know each other first, right? And to share which ways they could help with volunteer work. So a band will kind of like take away a little bit of that, so people would not be able to hear each other and to meet each other for the first time and all that. So I explain using the but. But then everything else, I think we did okay. I was positive because then everything else that they offer, I actually ended up signing them up for the tasks and agreeing that all the other ideas were very good. So yeah, I think that when you do have to use but, or when you feel that you have to use but, or if it's too late and you already used but, to just be mindful of what comes after the but. Like if you have a good base factual but in a respectful and caring way. because I'm sure that will happen because we're just conditioned this way.
Mhm.
That's
Well,
right.
and
And
you-
not every solution is going to be the right solution. So sorry, Maria, I interrupted you.
No, that's right on point, Lori. And I think, in a sense, what you're sharing, Danielle, is another way to frame it would be that thank you because, right? Thank you for that suggestion, right? Because that suggestion may add a lot of obviously it'll make it a fun event, right? But then you can say, you could ask a question, right? If we have a band, do you think it will help build relationship, or how do you think it would be building relationship, right? So another way to sort of support, keep it a creative, supportive, affirmative environment is to ask questions back and to kind of lead. I find it for myself is like sometimes in the brainstorming, you can get way out there and the questions can pull people back to what are we really trying to accomplish, right? So it might be a thank you for that idea that's going to create a real party atmosphere. And how can we ensure that people are really building relationship within that environment, right? So maybe you end up having a band anyway, but something else happens, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I said next time, next gathering.
next time,
Sounds
there we
great
go.
when we actually know each
Perfect.
other's
Yes.
names,
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And
I
I don't
also
mean to
just want,
go ahead.
well, I just wanted to say too, Danielle brought up an important point. We're creatures of habit. If that but sneaks out and you're wishing in that moment, oh, I should have said, and I could have gone a different direction. How can you turn that into a positive? Well, an example might be this subject came up about the band and you're saying, yeah, but I guess I hadn't really thought about that before. To find a way to still say that you're open to the fact that they contributed an idea. I think that's an important one. And as Maria and Lori have been saying, practice is such an important key. So you get to the point where you don't catch yourself because you're automatically going to the and.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for sharing with us. I think we'll get back to the slideshow now, and there we go. Okay, so I think we debriefed. So there's another activity that you can do. So we're going to go ahead and demonstrate this also, but I want you to think of a funny story or, something humorous from your life. It doesn't have to be hysterically funny. It can something that brought a smile to your face, something that made you feel good. Think about how you can tell that story so that you can help share the humor or good feelings you experienced in a couple of minutes. We're going to pair you up, put you in breakout rooms again. And then you're going to share your story with your partner. We want you to use the yes and or thank you because communication tool to encourage your storyteller. So I'm going to go ahead and share with Maria what I think is a funny story. So this happened during the pandemic. We were all home all day. And I would get up in the morning, go down into my workspace in my basement, and I'd come up for another cup of coffee or for lunch. And this happened so many times. My son would set his alarm and he would not turn it off when it started sounding. And I'd come upstairs and I'd hear his alarm. And I'd be, oh my goodness, if he didn't, how can he sleep through that? So this happened again one day. And I went back to the back part of the house where his room is, and the alarm was coming from my room. So it was really great because I needed something to laugh about that day.
That's a great story. How did you tell your son
I
what had
did.
happened?
I did. And he kind of started laughing too.
So that's what. So what else could you share about that story?
Well, I think, like I said, it was something that I really was having a hard day. During the pandemic, I think we all felt a little isolated and maybe didn't get to laugh enough. So I just really needed that. And then I didn't just tell him. I told the rest of my family, I told some coworkers, and again, it just lightened the mood. So
You spread the love. You
that's
spread the
right.
love.
That's right. So that's just a way to use humor and encourage people to talk more about it in a safe way. So we're going to ask you to practice this activity using the yes and again. Certainly don't tell a story that's going to make you feel like you're disclosing things about yourself that you don't want to, but it's just to have fun and to practice. I guess we're going back to breakout rooms.
Yep. So it's a short amount of time, again, 4 minutes. So, and there's going to be 2 people in a room. And so we'll go from there. All right.
I'm thinking everyone is back now from the breakout. And so we invite you to share if this opportunity, did you laugh or chuckle? Did it make you feel good sharing a funny story? And did you feel like you were being heard by your partner when you were sharing your story? And by creating a safe environment for sharing to help you to tell and listen to your stories. Pardon me. So if you want to share, please share in the chat, because in the interest of time, we need to move on. Okay, so as we have been saying, we've been using, this is about using humor and improvisation skills to build communication. So we're going to show a video now, and then have a little chat about that.
I knew you'd be back.
Oh, I know, twice in a week. I'm sorry to be a burden. You're just the only person I can talk to.
You know I'm not a person, right? I'm a scarecrow.
I realize that. It's just, I don't know, lately I've been...
Hold your horses, farmer. No one ever asks how I feel. All I do is listen. And scarecrows, and they're not even that scared of me. Do you know what a murder of crows will do if they get too comfortable on your arm?
A murder?
Yeah, it's what you call a flock of crows. Pretty cool, huh? The thing is, I feel isolated and unappreciated.
Oh boy, howdy, do I recognize that?
Ah! My entire job is dependent on the weather. If it rains too much, my straw droops and no one takes me seriously. If it's too hot, my straw breaks off and then I just become a sad crow.
Sad.
Crow.
Believe me, I know what you mean about being isolated. Sometimes, I don't know, being a farmer feels like a piglet at Easter.
What?
Don't think too hard about it.
Well, talk about isolation. I am the last legitimate scarecrow in the entire county. I'm old school. All my other scarecrow friends have been replaced by technology. I mean, this isn't the farming I used to know. Things are changing so fast.
I can identify with that.
I am not done. My scare spouse left me. She said I was too alienating, too depressing. Well, my entire job is to scare things away. I am inherently alienating. When I do find passion with another scarecrow, I mean, our straw catches fire.
Okay, I didn't need to hear about that. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were under such pressure.
Well, you never asked. And told you. I just kept my feelings so bottled up inside that I finally burst.
Oh, I do that sometimes too. I totally understand what you mean.
It's not easy to ask for help.
Because you're a scarecrow?
Because I'm a man, or a scare man, a man-like thing. You know, men aren't taught to talk about their feelings, so we don't. I mean, everyone expects us to be like John Wayne, all strong and silent and capable. Well, I am strong and silent and capable, but sometimes I just need to reach out. What everyone forgets is that John Wayne wasn't real. He was an actor.
Oh, I loved True Grit.
Me too.
Right,
so
that
with-
one scene with it.
Hey, blah, 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 blah. But you know who has real grit? Farmers do, men and women. They carry a heavy load. They face endless uncertainty and shifting farming practices and the ridiculous expectations that they're supposed to be tough and on their own, like their mothers and fathers. Times are changing. I mean, look at you.
That's right. Look at me.
Sometimes it's not easy to ask for help.
You know, I bet my dad could have used some help when he was running this farm.
He got some help.
What do you mean?
Well, who do you think he talked to when there was a drought, or when the avian influenza hit, or when his teenage daughter said she wanted nothing to do with the family farm?
He talked to you about that?
Yeah, he did. Your dad was a stand-up guy, the best, and he only came out here a couple times, not enough, but you don't have to suffer in silence like your parents did, you know?
You're right. You're right. Times are changing. It's why I'm out here right now with you.
I'm glad you are.
You know, I hope he'd be proud of me. I'm not 17 anymore, and I'm doing my best to keep this family farm afloat. Continue the legacy. It's tough.
You're doing a good job.
Thanks, Scarecrow.
I have a name. It's Doug.
That's too bad. But Doug, thanks for listening and making me listen. I think we farmers are going to be A-okay as long as we don't isolate and try to do it all by ourselves, standing all alone like a
Scarecrow?
Scarecrow. You know, being out here with you like this, talking, makes me feel like we're in the movie, you know, Wizard of Oz. You know, the Scarecrow. If I only had a heart.
It was the Tin Man who was looking for a heart. The Scarecrow wanted a brain.
Well, you, Doug, have both a brain and a heart.
Oh, I hate that movie.
All right, so were there some funny and quirky things in the video? Did you see any examples of yes and being used? Did any of the topics resonate with you? Hopefully, when life gets overwhelming, you have someone to speak to. Some of the quirky things that we identified, you know, a murder of crows reference. Did you notice the arm flying off the Scarecrow? The Scarecrow talked about losing his wife. Then there was that Tin Man versus Scarecrow reference about from the Wizard of Oz. So hopefully when life gets overwhelming, you have someone to speak to, you know, to talk to a spouse, a friend, a neighbor, children, clergy, or counselor. Okay, so If farming and isolation is a real thing. In 2019, 46% of farmers said isolation affected their mental health, either some or a lot. In 2020, that number was 68%. According to the survey, that was a survey conducted by Morning Consult. The organization conducted the survey for the National Farm Bureau. Researchers sampled 2,000 rural adults, farmers and farm hands, asking questions about mental health and COVID-19. Research shows that social isolation and loneliness are important, but often neglected social determinants of health across ages. So what can you do? It's not just about talking with others. It's about engaging your brain and body in connection with things that are non-farming. So you can use your yes and skills. You can schedule time each day to stay in touch with family, friends, and neighbors. You can find an activity that you enjoy, restart an old hobby, find a faith-based organization where you can deepen your spirituality. You can check out resources and programs at your local community centers and public libraries, or actually join a cause to get involved in your community. We like this video. It's humorous, yet also poignant. So we encourage you to be a parent, engage others, to take care of your own mental and physical well-being, as well as those around you. We just have a few acknowledgements. Thank you, Maria Papitas. Thanks for attending this. I believe that there is a link in the chat to a survey. And I also believe that Jake dropped a document in the chat. So
Yes,
okay.
there's a link in the chat for an evaluation from this session. And we ask you all to please take the few minutes it will cost you to just fill it out. And it helps us improve the programming as we fine tune this for more dissemination. Thanks so much.